Hi guys, this is Travis from Scroll Saw Goodies. Welcome back to part 7 of a series of creating a portrait of a dog in Adobe Photoshop. Let's just dig in. If you made it this far, you don't really need the introduction. So let's just get in with it and just start working. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and let's see where we left off. Boy, where should we start? Well, let's go ahead and connect this thing up here first. And let's go ahead and start working up the center a little bit. So I'm going to zoom into 200% and I'm going to start working up this center area. I'm going to bridge this thing over. And make sure we bridge this white area as well. Oops. Get rid of that thing. We don't need to be cutting a little hole just for that, so I'll get rid of that altogether. Mouse got away with me there. Okay, so let's go ahead and connect that section. And we'll connect this section over here. Boy, we got pretty crazy shape here, so it's pretty interesting. I like the way it looks. Let's go ahead and open up that area and make sure it's nice and strong. So this is part 7. What is that? Is that 3.5 hours? Have you really been watching this for 3.5 hours? And the more important question is, have I really been working on this pattern for 3.5 hours? Never would have thought that this pattern would take so darn long. But once we're done, I think we'll have a pretty good pattern on our hands, and I think the recipient will be pretty happy with it. And hopefully you guys will get something out of watching this being put together as well. I'd like to kind of point out that this really isn't typical for pattern making. It shouldn't necessarily take this long. But you know what? Sometimes it does. I'm going to get rid of all this garbage up here. And let's zoom in over here. Go back to our number 5 brush. And I'm going to connect this. And it looks like we got a little floaty area. So let's go ahead and bridge that out. And let's go ahead and bridge this out over here. Okay. I think we're kind of in the home stretch. I hope so, because I'm kind of tired. My voice is a little hoarse right now. I'm not used to talking this much. I mean, I sit behind a computer all day. Who am I supposed to talk to? Okay, so let's zoom out. Boy, that's really busy. Looks like some kind of amoeba gone awry. Boy, I don't like that at all. So let's pull this thing down over here. I'm gonna grab the paint bucket tool. I'm gonna fill that section in. And grab the brush tool and clean up those edges. When you use the paint bucket, it doesn't really snug up to the end real well, because I'm using a brush, and the brush has a little bit of a soft edge, so it's not gonna get real close to that. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, that's certainly a step in the right direction. Let's grab a larger brush. And what happens if we get rid of that? I'm going to back up, so I'm going to grab my layers or my history palette, back up a little bit. I don't think the problem is necessarily through here. I think it's over here. And I think it's just because this thing is so darn thick. Let's kind of get some of that area out. Something along those lines. So I want to go back to my other brush, and I want to kind of fill this area in just a little bit, and that creates an island, which we don't need, but I did kind of want to. I'll just kind of open it up a little bit right there. Okay. Let's get a little bit of squirreliness in there. And this is really the point where I'm just kind of making things up, because it just doesn't look right. And when it doesn't look right, you're just going to have to pretend what you think looks right. So let's zoom out a little bit, see where we're at. I'm gonna grab a larger brush, maybe a 13, and I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff in through here. Okay, let's zoom in, make sure we can get all the little bits. I'm going to get rid of all this garbage here, because I think that's just kind of a little distracting. A little bit distracting in through here and in through there. Quite honestly, even that's a little distracting. Let's zoom in and just get rid of all that. Okay. Now, I'm not sure. It might be just because I'm getting impatient. Actually, I'm kind of starting to like that a little bit more. So, let's make sure we don't have any weirdness. Let's go ahead and bridge this area. I'm going to kind of clean up that. Let's get rid of that little nib there. Don't need that. I want a big area here. And let's zoom in a bit, grab a smaller brush. Go something along the lines of that. Let's zoom out. Boy, this section here is awfully heavy, so let's thin it up a bit. So I'm going to come in a little bit over here, maybe create a little peninsula over there. Let's see what that seemed to do the trick. Okay, so 10 minutes in and we are almost done. Can you believe it? I told you last time I wasn't happy at all with this nose, and I really don't know what I want to do with it. So you know what I'm going to do? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring over the layers palette. Okay. I'm going to select my top layer here. And I'm going to create a layer above it. I'm just clicking the new layers palette, new layers button down here, and it creates a new layer above it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually draw on this layer, and I'm going to draw that nose right on top of it. So as you can see, my picture is going to be showing through this palette, but or through this layer, but I'm going to actually be drawing on this layer. So I'm going to pull that to the side. And I'm just going to draw this thing because this just is not working for me at all. So I'm going to grab the black. I'm going to use the dot to dot technique I talked about before. And I'm going to create that nostril there. And over here. Now this is typically how I work. I like to choose my own shadows. Whoops. Control Z that out. Okay, and we have a highlight right over here. So I'm going to highlight, or I'm going to draw the shape of this highlight. I'm going to bring it up into the nose. Okay. And now let's draw the perimeter of the nose. Remember, it's kind of sharp, so I'm going to do the dot to dot again. I'm going to kind of peek this in just a little bit like that. Okay. Now this area here is kind of where the nose kind of disappears into the face there. Okay, so we have a highlight here. Let's go ahead and outline that and bring that down. We have a little bit of a highlight there. Let's go ahead and bring that down. I'm going to use the eraser tool because we're no longer dealing with black and white, we're just dealing with black. So I'm going to delete some of this black and delete a little bit of black over here. Let's delete some of this black here. Let's grab the paintbrush. Whoops. Grab the paintbrush. We want the black. Okay. And oh boy, there's just a little bit of a hint right there. So let's kind of open that up a little bit. And it's kind of hard for you to kind of visualize what the heck I'm doing, but basically I'm drawing my own nose. And what I'm going to do, I got my highlight, highlight, highlight. Everything else is more or less black. So I'm going to grab the paint bucket tool and I'm going to fill that in. and you get a lot of these little lines. Looks like we're at about 15 minutes, so I think we're doing all right. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of clean up these lines a little bit. And just see where we end up with. We'll see if I even like this nose a little bit better than what we had before. Because sometimes the computer just does not make good choices for you, and sometimes you're just going to have to do it yourself, you know? Okay, I'm going to turn off all these layers over here. I just want to see the nose. So I'm going to turn off all these layers so that only the white background is showing. It just makes filling in these lines a little bit easier. Boy, I'm losing my voice. It's a good thing I'm not a public speaker. Okay. This is kind of the tedious part, especially in the process that I use for creating patterns. Okay, I'm going to go back to the eraser tool. I have the number 5 selected. I'm going to... Oh, come on. Are you serious? Oh, here's what I did. Over here, I had the wrong layer selected. So all of my drawing happened on that background layer, which is not much fun. So it's a little frustrating. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to select this layer 3, and I'm going to paint that black, and I'm going to just delete the background layer. And I'm going to go and redraw that. I'm going to put this on pause. You don't need to see me do this again. You've seen me do it once before. So I'm going to put this on pause, and we'll pick up where we left off. Okay, I'm back. I just finished up cleaning up my mistake. And I'm going to grab the eraser tool. Remember, we're only working with black at this point. So I'm going to turn on my original photograph. And I'm just going to erase the black that I don't want. And just kind of clean up a few of these edges. And we could kind of click back and forth to see where we're at. Remember, this part kind of fades into the nostril or the muzzle. And let's go ahead and take care of this highlight a little bit better. Okay. And zoom out. And that's basically our nose. It kind of reminds me of a Snoopy nose. So I'm gonna turn off the nose that I just drew. I'm gonna turn that off, and I'm gonna delete. I'm gonna paint over this white nose, our old nose. Let's get a. There we go. That'll get rid of it in a hurry. So we'll just delete that nose. And then we'll bring the layers over again and turn on that nose. So I guess the question is, which nose did I like better? That nose? on that nose. You know what? I think I like the original nose better. Who would have thunk it? So let's get rid of this dot here because we don't need that. That was a mistake. So I like the original nose better. I would have bet money that I would have changed that. But it turns out that this is actually the better way to go. So I'm just going to continue working it a little bit more. Maybe I'll kind of I don't know, just kind of play with it until I get it. Maybe it's this part I don't really care for. There we go. Maybe it was just that little nib that bothered me. Okay. Well, I think we're done, you guys. I think we're gonna call this good. This is gonna be our dog portrait. We did this in Adobe Photoshop, and you know, this certainly was a challenging pattern, but I'm kind of glad that you had the opportunity to kind of see how I would approach this pattern. I think I'm for the most part happy with it. I'm probably not 100%, but you know, I think the likeness is pretty good between the two. So I hope you enjoyed this series. Like I said, I would love to have some feedback. Shoot me an email at scrollsawgoodies@gmail.com or swing by my website at scrollsawgoodies.com. Actually, we'll just go over there right now. Scroll Saw Goodies is hosted by Scroll Saw Village. It's an online community. We have forums, user galleries, and of course pattern libraries. But just swing by the website, and we have a lot of great patterns here. As of this recording, we have, let's see here. Let's go over to the user gallery. As of this recording, we have 115 patterns in the library. We have 182 pictures in the user gallery. It's a pretty active community, a lot of friendly folks, and I hope you swing by and ask a few questions in the forums, and just check out the site. Kick the wheels a little bit, see if it's a place that you like to enjoy hanging out, and just, if nothing else, sign up so you could have access to our free pattern library. That's it for this time. We're going to be doing some more video tutorials. If you'd like to suggest something, shoot me an email, like I said, at scrollsawgoodies@gmail.com, or visit me on the web at scrollsawgoodies.com. Until next time, happy scrolling.